my couch.
Oh shoot.
What are you doing?
I sure that I live right, and I'm never gonna let you out of my side. I've been knocked out, was a nice try, but I guess I get to keep my head on this time. God of the creation, the relations I've got, the only one that keeps me safe, the only one it should. For sure, it ain't right that I have checked the speck of dust from all of its side. Fall down, that from my height, cause I didn't see the plank I have in my eye.
Okay, and we're live.
Hello, everybody. We're having some. Oh, sorry. We're having some technical difficulties today.
Oh, I thought it was this. Are we live? Yeah, we're live.
We're live. I'm.
Are you checking it?
I'm checking it just to make sure that we are live. I just wanna make sure
So
that
you
everything
can go
is
back.
good. Yeah.
So check it then.
We are live. I just can't check like when we
Yeah,
we
you
came
can
live.
check. You can go back.
I cannot go back to a live video.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Let me just figure this out because we just want to make sure that we're giving you the best content we can, right?
Yeah, that's it. So you can scroll.
Where you
Huh?
cannot scroll.
Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, do the intro and then I'll do this.
Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you here to our podcast From Vision to Success.
From vision to success.
That's right. And today, actually, we have a very, very special topic today, which is which is vision. How to create your vision. And when I read it, I was like, what? What a bunch of crap.
Legit. I'm like, you know that our podcast is called Vision to Success, right?
I was like, that's just crap. And I'm just kidding.
This is actually probably one of my favorite topics of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, I do like it. I just have had some hiccups with it, and I'm working with it. So I'm like, it's like a living.
Oh, so you're being legit.
I'm being legit, yeah, because I'm
I
like,
thought you were just trying to be funny.
no, I'm half trying to be funny, half trying to be legit, because I've had some issues. Sometimes we feel like we have to have this clear vision of exactly where we're going.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening when we feel like we don't have it, we stop. We don't move it. We don't move anywhere. So we have paralysis because we're like, I don't know where I'm going. Everything seems so foggy. I have no idea what I want. And that's what I've experienced. Maybe, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
No, anytime that I haven't had success on a vision is because of one of the imps, procrastination,
Yeah.
or like the twin imps, which is procrastination and
Twins.
yeah, so
Procrastination and what?
distraction.
Distraction, yeah.
So those two work in hand, close to close. So anytime that
Hand to hand, you mean?
hand,
You said close to close, like hand to hand.
what is it? Hand in hand, hand in
Hand
hand.
in hand.
That's
Hand
what I
in hand.
said.
You said close to close.
Did I really?
Yeah, you did. That's why I was like, you mean hand in hand?
Yeah, hand in hand. So those two imps work really, really close to like with each other, right? Procrastination and distraction. So I've always been good with having a vision of where I want to go and what do I want to do. And so when I haven't been successful is because it's been of that. It's self destruction. So you're telling
Yes.
me. So okay, repeat that again because
Okay,
I'm not
so-
sure if I get it.
Okay, so I'm being honest and transparent in my own journey, right? And when do you need a vision in order to be able to move forward? I believe so. I know so, right? Because
Okay.
you need to have a point from, like, if you're in point A, you need to know where point B is, right?
Right.
But sometimes we get so hung up on having such a clarity in your vision that, at least for me, it's become something that I'm like, that I feel overwhelmed, that I feel like I can't do it. I feel like I end up questioning myself and being like, is that even what I want? Why is it so foggy? Why is it so unclear?
I don't think it's because of a vision though.
What do you think it's because?
I just think that it wasn't. A vision has to get you pumped up. It
does, but sometimes it's hard to get to that vision that gets you pumped up.
No.
I think for me it has.
I have to disagree on this
See,
one.
yeah, for me it totally has. Like I've had vision, so this is my vision. I know I want to work with people, right? And I love coaching. I love my personal favorite, in all honesty, is when I get to meet people that watch our podcast or have seen my posts or somehow know me through friends and whatnot, and they tell me how much or what I've said has helped them or has been impactful or anything
Right,
like that.
right.
That's my most favorite thing. So I know I want to keep doing that, and that is my vision. So I guess I do have that clarity. It's just sometimes where my fault comes in is that I want to know exactly the how. And when that how creeps into my vision, where I'm like, okay, I know this is what I want to do, but I need to know like step by step exactly what I'm going to do. I overwhelm myself, and then things get foggy, and then I was
But
like,
that's not the vision's fault.
100% that's the vision's.
That's not the that's not the that's not how that's
Can you just stop trying to psychoanalyze
no,
me?
I
Like-
am with it. You just walked into a free therapy session right
Yes. All right. Give
now.
it.
So hang on one second. No, because I think okay. So
Okay, for you guys watching us, tell us what you think. Do you have a vision? Do you know where you're going in life? Do you know what you want? Because that's essentially what a vision is, right?
right, but what I'm having a hard time trying to figure out is with you, you're like, oh, vision is crap. And
No,
I know,
I'm just kidding.
No, I know.
Those are some hard words, Miguel.
no, you just said it. We can just rewind it, but that's the point. But why? Because so I told you that's one of my favorite things, having a vision. And you're like, oh no, maybe not. Yours is not. It's not your favorite thing. So what I'm trying to figure out is this: why do you struggle with this principle? And that's what I can't wrap myself around, because I don't think it's the vision. I think it's having a lack of plan.
It's multiple things.
So
In
for
the past.
So here's an example.
Okay, tell
here's an
me.
example. You are 300 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you are 300 pounds. You know, overweight, whatever, and just like you're struggling. You really want to lose weight and all these different things. And like, okay, I want to be 200 or 175.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Cool. And then you start. And you're doing well and you're doing great. And then you're like, you don't really have a plan. You're just doing the weights and doing all these different things. And then all of a sudden, you don't see any progression. And you're like, those Doritos are calling you. And then you're having,
And you're in your bed eating the Doritos.
yeah, you're having Powerade
It's
for
the story
breakfast.
Of story of Miguel. Show them your Powerade with Freezy inside.
Oh, it's gone.
This guy totally was eating a Freezy for breakfast.
I was not having a Freezy. I was having a Freezy.
Like, are you really gonna lie? Come on now.
So I was having a Freezy. But anyways, and so you are, okay. And then all of a sudden you get discouraged and you're like, oh, I'm not losing any weight. And
Yeah.
I want to get to 175 and I just don't know how to do it. It's not the vision's
You're
fault.
right. I think you're right. I think my overall problem is the how. I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think it's a hunt, and then I sometimes smuggle the how into the vision, and then I doubt myself.
Yeah.
So it's like a multifaceted process.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
once you get into that hole, it's hard to come out.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But again, I don't think it's the vision's fault.
You're right. It's hence our our podcast is called Vision to Success. Look at me. I'm like, vision is crap. Success, that's crap.
Here's the thing is, right? It's the podcast is called Vision to Success because those are the two endpoints.
Yeah. You need
Vision
to- mhm.
vision is the first one, and then when you get there is the success, and then the whole purpose of this podcast is not the vision, is not the success, but it's the two.
It's the in between.
Exactly.
It's the messiness of the in between.
Vision to success.
It's the two.
It's the two. The two is what people struggle with, right?
Yeah, and I
How-
struggle with the same thing. Clearly, we just identify that that's where my struggle has been.
It's the two. It's the how.
Yeah,
So how do you push through the crap? How do you push? So everybody can create a vision,
yeah,
and then everybody wants to get to success.
Mm-hmm.
So the question now becomes is how do you push through the how? How do you push through the crap? How do you push through the two to get to success?
I'm trying to think because I'm like the best example that I have in my life is fitness related, is weight loss related actually, right?
Okay.
Because when I first started my weight loss journey, I was close to 200 pounds. I had 3 kids. I had struggled with weight like all my life. So, and I didn't know how to properly do it. And I think once my vision, actually now talking about it, my vision to have a better life came from an email that somebody sent. It was like one of those motivational websites, whatever. So the email said, you work out because you love your body, not because
Yeah.
you hate it.
I remember you telling me that.
So the vision for me was to love my body. it was no longer a number as opposed to before, because I had such a specific number and I always felt defeated because I wasn't reaching that number. So I guess at that point, my vision changed. And when I started creating a plan with regards to it, like I started doing at home workouts, I started learning about nutrition, I started enjoying the process, everything changed. But my vision was that at some point, I was going to be healthier, I was going to be fitter, and I was going to be stronger. I didn't attach a number to it, but I know those were the three things that I was going for.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if I shared, I'm pretty sure I shared it with you, but at the beginning of my journey, for 60 days, I did not lose a single pound. 60 days of working out, of eating right, and like I felt better. I didn't lose weight, but my clothes was fitting better, right? Like my body composition was changing. On the third month, I lost like an accumulated of like, by the end of the 90 days, I lost 20 pounds. But the first 2 months, it was very...
In 90 days, you lost 20 pounds.
But the first 60, it was like nothing. I'm sure it was maybe like 5 pounds. But honestly, it felt demotivating. It was demoralizing because I'm like, I'm putting all this effort in.
So why though? Why in 60 days you didn't lose anything?
Because bodies are different. That's the thing. Everybody seems to think that like you need to have results right away. And sometimes what happens is that when you're working out, you're putting stress in your body. And sometimes a stress response is to retain the weight. Not, is it necessarily like fat that you're retaining? No, but it could be fluids that you're retaining, right? So you go on the scale.
So you didn't change in the 90 days.
90 days I did change. The first 60 I did not. I did. Physically, when I took pictures, you can see differences in my body, right?
No, I know. So hang on. So you did a 90-day program. The first 60 days. So you did a 90-day program. You never once changed it through the 90 days. The first 60 days, you didn't see any results. You only saw results on the last
30 days.
The last 30 days.
Imagine had I given up on day 59.
Yeah. That's why I'm pointing it out.
Yeah. I would have never seen it, right? I would have never developed a love for fitness had I not had that hope. It was, you know what? I feel like the anchors to a vision is hope and faith.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm like, if you have a vision, you know where you're headed, right?
Right.
The anchors to that is hope that there's something better than what you're living right now, and the faith that the actions that you're taking are going to take you to where you want to be.
Okay.
Right? So I think for me at that point, my anchors were that. I was able to push past because I was like, I don't care. I'm no longer focusing on my weight. I didn't have a specific number that I was reaching for anyway. Was it demoralizing? Yes. Was I struggling through it? Yes. Were my thoughts like going all crazy? Absolutely. Right?
And when did that thought process kick in? Within the 90 days?
It had to be from like the very beginning because, so I did have those thoughts already because I was doing it for my daughter. I was doing it so I could, one, love my body. Second, for my daughter.
Right.
So those were two strong reasons why I wanted to do this. They were my whys, right? They created a feeling inside. They motivated me on those days that I didn't want to work out. On those days where I jumped on the scale and I was like, son up.
Say it, Maria. Say it. Say it in public. Yeah, we're live. There goes your membership.
My bishop from church is going to be like, Maria Bunt, can we please have a meeting? You do lead the young woman in our church, and I'm concerned about that.
Your language.
I know.
Son of a... Okay.
Son of a... Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't swear.
No, I know you don't.
Yeah, I don't. Anyway, but yeah, what was the question? I forgot. Oh, yeah. I saw there was like no fluctuation or anything, right? So I had to hold on to my anchors. I had to hold on to my why and my anchors that at some point, I didn't know when, things were going to work out. And they sure did, because within a year, I lost almost 50 pounds. My body changed, and I've been in this journey for 7 years. And even from those 50, like I've remained the same weight in 7 years, but my body has completely changed in those 7 years.
Well, that because muscle's heavier than fat, right?
Yeah, and like I look different, I walk different, like everything. It impacted like so many different areas of my life, but I guess you're right. I do like, and that's the thing with vision, right? The vision is where you see, or at least what you want to accomplish, and then you need to have anchors.
Yeah, and I agree. And so yeah, I think we're on the same page. I think for me,
Started a little rocky, right? Where I was like, it's crap.
Yeah, I was like, what? This is my favorite topic of. It's the name of the podcast, From Vision to Success. You're like, that's crap. But I think the vision. If we're making an analogy here, is the vision is the spark plug that gets the car started.
Yeah, It's kind of like motivation, right?
It is. Motivation alone can't get you anywhere.
No, because
Right.
you're like super gun ho. You're like, I'm gonna do this,
Yeah.
and then life gets hard, and you're like, don't have the motivation to do it.
Right. Mel Brooks, the one who wrote the 5-second rule, she says motivation is crap.
100%. That is crap.
Right. So yeah, and I do tend to agree with that. Right. Like motivation alone can't. I don't want to say can't get you there, but it's not going to sustain you.
No, you get started. You get motivation to get started. Maybe
Right.
to buy that membership, to buy that program, to invest in yourself.
Which is the spark.
Yeah.
Right? So in a car, for those who don't know anything about a car, and neither do I just know I drive a black Jeep. That's all I know. But what I do know is that the car has these things called spark plugs. Right?
Listen, this guy like full out like burps and
I
does
don't-
like
I do not.
everything
Are
in
you
front of
kidding
me. 100%. I'm like, excuse me, I'm your guest.
I burped once. I burped once. and she-
Once like in a minute. I'm like,
Don't judge me. And so, anyways, so in a car, you got these spark plugs, right? And so what ends up happening is that, and again, I don't know the whole process, whatever, but gasoline is very flammable.
yeah,
And so what ends up happening is that the gasoline passes through the spark plug, and when you turn it on,
it ignites it.
there's a spark, and right, which there's a combustion that gets the engine going, right? The pistons, and then the car runs without it. Like, but the spark plug doesn't keep going. The spark plug is just a one-time thing, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think the vision is the spark plug. Why do you want to, like, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to be 5 years from now? What kind of education do you want? What kind of family dynamics do you want, right? Weight loss and all these different things.
I love the fact that vision starts with you as an individual,
100%,
right?
yeah.
It's not like, oh, I want to do this because Miguel is doing it. And a lot of us tend to set goals or visions based on what other people are
Yeah,
doing. But
yeah.
it starts with you.
Yeah, 100%. So you create your own vision, but the vision alone is not going to get you through the hard times. What is going to be your why.
Yeah.
Right? So
And we've talked about this before too.
So many times,
Yeah.
right? There is I don't want to say a saying, but there is, Les Brown. Okay. So Les Brown talks about something called the it question, which will make or break any journey. The how
Yeah.
will break any journey, and which is it worth it?
Yeah.
That question alone will determine if you are going to stick to whatever it is that you've started. Is it worth it? That is the fire, that is the gasoline. Because for you, your daughter, and loving your body, and when the hard times came, you is it worth it? And you're like, oh, heck yeah, it's worth it, right? It's
Yeah.
100% worth it. And then that got you to keep going. You had a plan in place.
Yeah.
And that got you to keep going. For me, it was the exact same thing. And for me, before I started MTC Live, I had worked in 7 different companies. Every year and a half to 2 years, I was jumping ship. And the minute it started getting harder, like bureaucracies, other sales agents were taking my sales, and managers weren't doing anything because they had more tenure and they were selling more and they didn't want to ruffle any feathers. And I was like, this is not, and I would always say, and I remember, this is not worth it. It's not. I come home, I'm stressed. I was working a job actually I was making about $120,000 a year, working 20 hours a week.
And
I-
you took a big like
That's
pay
a-
cut
that was
like
a-
when you started your business.
Oh, 100%, right? I went from 120 to 0,
Wow.
right? And so, but the deciding factor was that it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Right. I was making $120,000 a year. And that included bonuses, car payments, my cell phones being the 407 being paid for, all salaries, and then trips, right? For hitting certain numbers. Working 20 hours a week as a sales rep. Right. But then I was coming home. I was stressed. My wife was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." I was like, I didn't have time, and I just whatever. And this is not worth it. I remember
Yeah.
I was saying, "This is not worth it," and I would quit.
You felt unfulfilled.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So that's the it question. Is it worth it, right?
Oh, I love that question so much. Just kind of sharing something on a side note, like I know last week I shared with regards to my dad passing away, right? So I had a counseling session on Friday. It was a grieving counseling session, and
It's so good.
it was
I'm
so
telling
good.
you right now, just to derail a little bit. So Maria, Mike, her husband, myself, and Tegan, we went out for dinner on Friday. She shared a little bit. No, yeah, Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
She shared a little bit of what she and I was hoping that you would bring it up today. Anyways, Tay and I we walked away. It was like, oh my gosh, like that was
It was so good,
yeah,
right?
it was so good.
I know. I'm like, and it like trigger a lot of thoughts. Okay. I'm like, everybody needs counseling because it helps you to see your blind spots.
Yeah.
Right. It's an objective person. The person doesn't know you. So it's not like a friend, you know, when sometimes you're talking to a friend and the friend wants to make you feel better. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's kind of like it's just different. Right. But yeah, anyway, the thing that I wanted to share was with regards to what you said, was it worth it? Right. So my grieving counselor, when we were talking, he said to me, he's like, you went through a traumatic experience. And he said, and he defined trauma as being something that you go through that's hard, where you have no ability to be rescued or your loved one has no ability to be rescued, right? And it was great that he defined it for me because I realized that I had like a different notion of what trauma was, and it made me cringe, and I didn't want to accept that I did have trauma. But if I didn't accept that I didn't have trauma, I wouldn't be able to work with it, right? Anyway, so then he asked me, he's like, you know, you stayed with your dad. You were there for the 8 weeks that he was here. You were there until the very last day. You went through some hard times. He's like, he asked me, he's like, was it worth it? He's like, why did you stand your post? Was it worth it? And it like tears. And I was like, it was worth it. And he's like, why? And I was like, because I love my dad, because I told him that I would be with him till the very last moment of his days here. And then he said to me, he's like, well, he's like, then your story is it's a story of what does he say? Unconditional love. So he attached a meaning and a purpose behind my trauma, like a why. And then it made me think, when you were talking about, was it worth it? When you have that feeling of looking back and knowing that you're going to go through hard things, and then looking back at it and say, would I go and do it again? 100% I would do it again. Would I change anything about what happened with my dad? Absolutely not. Right? And I'm like, it was so powerful that as you were saying that, I was like, that is the intensity that I want to feel my life as I go through. I want to have goals where, yeah, it feels like I'm walking through fire, but then I'm looking back at it and I think about it and I'm like, was it worth it? I want it to be like 100% yes, heck to the yes. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And Elon Musk just, have you heard? Like, so he's starting to send rockets to Mars.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've heard
No,
this.
I haven't heard.
So I don't know in the process where he's at right now, but he's starting to send rockets. And in each rocket, there are things that will help sustain life when people finally get to Mars.
Okay. So he's building before, like...
Yeah, so he said like he's sending raw material, like drilling machines. He's sending domes, materials to create domes, suits, hydrated food, like all these different things. Like he's just sending raw material.
Yeah.
Right. And so then when people get there, there's all these materials already there waiting for whoever gets there to start building livable space.
Yeah.
Which is insane, right? So he has a goal of, I forget what the number was, but it's just like it was a ridiculous number. First of all, he wants to die in Mars.
Okay.
Like that. So that's his biggest goal, right? Is to die in Mars. Number one. Number two is that he wants to be able to bring up to, I think it was 20,000 people.
Wow.
Right. So that's his massive goal. So he talks about, anyways, the reason why I'm bringing it up is your reaction there's like, wow, like that's absolutely insane. Oh, water treatment, oxygen, generations, growing own food, etc., and self-sufficiency won't depend on the shipments from Earth to survive. Dude, I don't know, man. So Mike,
I didn't bring. Listen, babe, I can't. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I have to depend on him reading. And
so Mike just said, I can't even read this. It says.
Because it's green. Why would you have the writing green?
I don't know. I don't know why it turned out green. Stop judging me. It says here, water treatment, oxygen, generations, growing own food, etc., to be self-sufficient won't depend on shipments from Earth to survive. Right. No, I know. So I know. So thanks for chiming in, Mike. Obviously, it's to be able to be self-sufficient and abilities and other stuff. Mike, man, whatever. Anyways.
I love you, babe. That's my husband representing.
I love you too. But anyway, so all these different things to sustain and actually be self-reliant. So he's setting
Yeah.
all these different things. Anyways, but your whole thing was like, oh my gosh, no way, like 10,000, 20,000. That reaction, he says that he loves that reaction because he knows that he's on track. If you create a
Yeah.
goal, if you create a vision, and people are like, oh, I can see you doing that, he says it's not big enough, right? So you have to have like this big,
Like a wow factor.
you have to have a wow factor. So your vision has to contain a wow factor. Like even to yourself sometimes, like how am I going to do this? And a lot of people start and finish there. And that's why nothing gets accomplished.
Yeah, you can't start there though. You can't have a I in my mind you cannot have a wow. Well, not that you can't have a wow factor, but your goal cannot be, or like your vision cannot be so grand that you look at it and it totally like makes
Right.
you feel defeated.
Right.
I think
right.
you built up to that.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, he didn't start there when he was first creating PayPal.
Oh, for sure, right?
yeah.
Like I think back about with regards to my example with my like wellness journey. Had I had a goal to run I ran a Spartan race earlier this year,
the
right?
tapeworm race.
A tapeworm. I had a tapeworm. No, I did not have a tapeworm after this guy
She's trying to convince me to do this Spartan race, and I'm like,
because he had a bad experience where a tapeworm went up his nose and
well,
came out his
no.
butt.
What is happening? I did not say. The story is that you are a false witness. That's what you are. Oh my gosh. I had a friend of mine and she did the Spartan race and she fell. Anyway, so there was mud and she says that she got a tapeworm and she lost so much weight. And then she's like, oh, you want to do it with me? And I'm like, next year? I'm like, I'm not doing it with you, whatever. So this one shows up out of nowhere. She's like, hey, you want to do it? And I'm like, nah, dude. I'm not a fan of tapeworms.
I'm like that. Anyway, point of the story is, had I started my journey with a goal to run a Spartan race, defeated.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have felt ever capable of doing that, but you build up.
Yeah.
And that's why your vision is a living thing. Your
Exactly.
vision is a living being that
Yeah.
changes as you grow. It changes.
Yeah. So 100%. So again, going back to Elon Musk, is that you have to have a big dream, something that's like, oh, wow. And then once you have this vision, like this, wow, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you tell people and like, there's no way, you're on your way, but it can't just start there. Because if you depend on just that vision, it's going to die there as well.
Yeah.
So then part 2 is that you have to start creating a plan, right? That's the 2. That's the how.
Yeah.
And the 2, it's not just yourself. Like you have to involve people. You have to let people know. You have to get coaches. You have to surround yourself around. I think was it Warren Buffett that said was it him that said it? It was somebody like big in the business world. If I know more than. If you're the smartest person in the room, get a new room.
Then you're in the wrong room,
Yeah,
right?
you're in the wrong room and get new people, right?
It's true though, because you always have to grow. Yeah.
So you got to surround yourself with people that are big. Yeah.
Well, that have what you want, right? And the idea behind it is because can you figure it out on your own? You can figure it out on your own. However, your time gets a lot longer
Yeah.
because then you have to figure out the right resources. You have to figure out you have to be discerning in what you're reading, what is
Yeah.
legit, what is not legit. But when you work with a mentor and you have people around you that are doing the same thing that you want to do, that time folds in half.
Yeah.
So potentially something that would have taken you maybe 10 years to achieve, you can do it in 5,
Yeah.
right? So it's like that's the benefit of working with
And then
mentor.
there's the golden rule of 10,000.
10,000 hours.
Yeah.
I think that can be. It is 10,000. I think that can be manageable.
So
I think you can.
do you know where that comes from?
Somebody who said
So
something.
am I about to teach you something?
Teach me.
So I'm gonna
Get on your pedestal. Get on your
on
horse.
my high horse. We still need to make a t-shirt with me on a unicorn, just flying through the air
The Pegasus.
in a Pegasus, 100%. So the 10,000 is. I think we talked about this in one
We
of
did.
our podcasts. Is
Hold on.
average income.
Income of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So if you want to
I've heard
create more
that.
money, honestly,
Yeah.
you need to.
Surround yourself with people with higher income.
That's true. You cannot be the one that has the highest
Yeah.
income in
So-
your friend group.
So here's another story. You know the guy that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Yep.
So
Jack Canfield. That's
right.
his name.
Is it? So
Yeah.
he was, I believe it was his story. He couldn't. He was having a hard time. He was having a hard time breaking the $1 million mark,
Mm-hmm.
and he was already making 6 figures. He was successful, but he really whatever. And so I think he went to like a like a Tony Robbins, whatever. And then he's like, listen, I'm having a hard time. I can't seem to break the $1 million mark. And he goes, what are your friends like? And he goes, they're all successful, right? They're all like entrepreneurs, they're business owners, and all these different things. And he goes, well, how much money are they making? They're all making, six figures. They're all making over 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. He goes, that's your problem. It goes, you got to find people that are making $1 million a year. And then, because a person that is making $100,000 a year thinks differently than a person making 50,000 versus a person making 30,000.
Yeah.
So a $1 million earner thinks differently than a person making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to surround yourself with people of that capacity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the 10,000 hours is very simple, right? So if you think about it, have you ever heard of the rule? And I think we talked about this in one of our first podcasts. The average of a business making or breaking is 5 years.
Yeah, we did talk about it.
Okay. So here's the thing. There are about 2,000 workable hours in a year.
Okay.
Okay. So that's working 40 hours a week. Right. So if you make the calculations, hang on one second. So here it is. So if you go 40 hours a week, right? And then times 50, right? Because not 52, because normally 2 weeks are vacations. So unpaid, right?
Okay.
So 40 hours a week times 50 hours or times 50 weeks.
Oh, 50 weeks.
It's 2,000 workable hours,
Okay.
right? Times that, times 5, which is 5 years. That's 10,000 hours. So here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. So if you work for somebody in 5 years, you are putting in a bare minimum of 10,000 hours. If you work for somebody else, that is 2,000 hours a week, 2,000 hours a year, with 40 hours a week, 9 to 5, right? And then equals to 10,000 hours a week. The minute you start your own business, this number goes down.
Yeah.
People fire themselves, and we've talked about this. They wake up late. They don't put their 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
They finish early. They're like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. I already put in a good 3 hours of work. I've made my calls. I've made my sales calls. And
So you're
3
like
hours.
delaying. You're like getting in your own way, and instead of doing
100%.
5 years, now you're like 7. But then you're
Exactly.
unmotivated because 3 years in, you're like, where is my success?
Instead of putting that 40 hours a week, you're putting in like 10.
Yeah.
And so then what ends up happening is that 10,000 or 5 years starts to stretch. The 10,000 stay the same,
Yeah.
right? Whether you're doing 10,000 in 5 years or you're doing 10,000 in 10 years, you still got to put in the 10,000 to become a professional.
Yeah.
And so the problem becomes is that when you are doing this and then you're delaying. Now, the successful people, right, the ones that are killing it, they're putting in 10,000 hours into 3 years or 2 years. And how? They're working more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
They are waking up thinking the business, they're thinking fitness, they're thinking whatever. And, they spend time with family where, whatever. And, 5 o'clock hits and then they have dinner, they come back down to their studio, their office, and they continue working. They're going to bed late, they're waking up late, and they're working, they're putting their 10,000 in 3 years.
So moral of the story is that it could potentially take a little longer if you are going to take more breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not to give up.
Yeah.
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 I was reading a book and it talked about Amazon, right? And it talked about how we are so focused on overnight success. We're like, oh my gosh, look at them. They did it in a minute. And like, look at me. I've been at it like 3 years and nothing's going on.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that Amazon was not successful for 7 years.
He actually was going to file for bankruptcy.
That's 7
Yeah,
years, right? And
yeah.
I'm sure that he was putting in like tons of hours.
Yeah.
But for him, 7 years. So can you imagine had he given up on like that 11th hour?
Yeah.
And I feel like with our vision, the feeling has to be that it's kind of like I'm gonna do it or I'm gonna perish. But like I can't have it both.
Yeah.
Like it's an all or nothing attitude with a business.
Even Kevin Hart has said the exact same thing. He was in a Joe Rogan interview and he
Yeah.
said people see him as like, where did this guy come from?
He was like working.
He says that people don't know when he was in stand-up comedies, people were throwing things at him because he wasn't funny. He was
Yeah.
getting booed off a stage. His mother gave him a Bible. It says, don't forget to read it. And it's like, yeah, mom, keep God. Yes, I got it. and he would do all these different things and just and all anyways. And so mom, grandma, I can't make the rent. And she goes, have you read the Bible? And he's like, oh, well, how's God gonna help me? And he just and he kept going, kept getting booed, he kept getting thrown things at him. He would get canceled all the time. And then he's like, oh, you know what, maybe I should read the Bible. And he opened up the Bible, and then a bunch of checks came out, and there were rent payments for an entire year.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then that year, he was like, okay, grandma believes in me, right? And so he was about to quit. He's like, I gotta put in more hours, and he just kept going again. He went back into and started grinding, and then that year, he put something on YouTube, which is his first special, whatever, and people started knowing about him, and anyways, then he is who he is now. But it was that, right? It's like that giving up.
That's what you have to. Whatever you choose, you have to like it. It has to be something that you're not doing it for somebody else, but you're doing it for yourself.
Is it worth it, right?
Is it worth it? That's what you got to ask yourself. For him, 100% it was worth it.
So what's your plan now?
Well, I definitely want to be in the people business.
Yeah.
Actually, my plan is to, I really want to be a public presenter. I really want to be I want to be a public presenter. I want to have a book. I want to help people. I've gone through a lot, and I was talking to Mike about this actually one day, and he was I can't remember exactly how the conversation came up, and he was like, people do well at what they have experience with.
Right.
He's like, you can't talk about something that you don't have experience about. You have to talk to. And he was like, what do you have experience with? Well, he didn't say it like that, but that's the way that.
That's what you heard it. That's what you heard.
He was driving, so obviously he couldn't like shake me. But I felt like his voice was like, what do you have experience with, right?
Yeah.
And with tears in my eyes, I'm like, I have friggin' experience in pain. That's what I have experience in.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I thought, like, I've had painful experiences so often in this past few years that I'm like, I feel like my job is to share what has gotten me through those experiences, how I've, remember the title that you gave me, Winning Through the Storm, how I've gone through that storm, and I'm still able to be here in front of you. Like, I'm still able to be myself. I'm more refined than what I was before. I'm able to have joy. Like, people at church see me. I had one of the sisters at our ward, in our church, she hugged me, and I mean, my dad just passed away 4 weeks ago, right? And she hugged me, and she's like, wow, you look like you're doing really well, right? And then I took a step back, and I was like, you know what? Because I am doing well. I am able to have this joy because I had all these tools that were available to me that I took advantage of, that has helped me to be in the place that I am now. And I 100% believe that God gives us these experiences, like he gives us these talents, not so I can like stuff them in and they're all for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving me. But rather he gives me these abilities or these refinement moments so I can share them with others and I can help others through this journey. So essentially, that is my role in life, to help others through this life journey.
So what do you want to do? You want to do the book first and then get into public speaking, or you want to get into public speaking and then write
No,
your
I'm
book?
going to do the book. I'm 100% I'm going to do the book.
So you're doing this.
I'm going to do the memoirs.
So now let's talk about the two.
The two what?
The how, the middle, the vision to success. Let's talk about the two. How are you going to do that?
Well, I realized in my own journey that I get a lot of the thing is that I get in my own way and I expect instant gratification.
Okay.
You know how I'm like, you can't like quit at the 11th hour. The only reason why I say that is because I do that. Like all my advice, everything that I tell you is because I struggle with the same thing. So I 100% understand people that quit in the 11th hour because I've done that, right? But I was thinking about how often I get overwhelmed with the fact of lacking clarity. And at first I tied it to my vision, which is not my vision that has an issue with. We established that it's my how and my process. And one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm going to start digitizing my journal entries. I have, and then based on that, the other awesome thing is that I kept. So when my dad passed away, one of the things that was suggested to me by Mike, Mike is also seeing a counselor for grieving, and the counselor has suggested for him to write a letter to his parents that would tell him, that would explain like anything that he wanted, right? And that could be a sense of closure, because what the counselor said is like, you've processed it in your head, but you haven't processed it in your heart, which that's sometimes things that we do, right? So he mentioned it to me. He encouraged me to do it. So we got the kids to do it. I did it. My whole family did it. My brothers, my mom, right? And I kept the letter. I did put the letter that I wrote in handwriting into my dad's little. He's in a condo. That's how we call it.
The what?
You know those like I forget Monsieur something with an M. My dad is cremated.
Oh, he's cremated. I didn't know that.
Yeah, my dad is cremated. Yeah.
I didn't. I
You had no idea.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so my dad is cremated.
Was he there at the funeral?
He wasn't there at the funeral.
So where is he?
He was already in his resting place. We decided to do it a little backwards, right? So what we did is that my dad wanted to be cremated. He didn't want a big anything. He didn't want to have a viewing. He didn't want to have any of that. And in all honesty, it totally worked out for us because that is just, it's really hard and we weren't ready for that.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't. And the hardest part is, for me at least, is like, you know, people want to support you. But in that sense, I just felt like you just feel awkward sometimes, right? Anyway, my dad is cremated. We did the cremation before the celebration of life. He had his interment. Is the day that we put, interment is when you like, either he goes in the ground, which is the, babe, are you still on? What's the name of that thing? I'm like, he's not going to help me because he's like, both him and I, we have this thing of like no big words. And I'm like.
The two immigrants trying to
we're like, what is it? Mon something. If you know the name, it's not Monster. I don't know. But what it is basically like a little like pillar.
Yeah.
And then they put different like urns in there and they have the plaque.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I kind of.
Okay.
It's a.
It's like a building.
Yeah, it's
So
not,
we call it a
building.
It's
It's
a
a
little
structure.
tiny. It's a structure that has multiple places where people can go in, right? So we call it my dad's condo. He's in the 5th floor. He loves it there. He absolutely loves it. He's in the 5th floor. He has a good view. When we drive by, we're like, "Hey, Papa." Yes, 100%. I'm like, my kids, like, he's really close to my house, and we have to drive by whenever we go to church, right? So my kids are always like, "Hi, Papa." I'm like,
are you in Chinguzi and Bavaria?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where my dad is too.
Hey, our dads are there.
They're just chilling.
They're chilling, like.
I had no idea.
Yeah, our dads are there.
No, but I had no idea that he was. First of all, he's cremated, and now that he's like he's paying like he's
in his condo.
Yeah, in his condo.
He's in his condo.
I love that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you were saying.
Okay, so anyway, the letter went in with his urn in his condo.
Okay.
On the 5th floor. He has a good entrance. You can see the bus stop. It's good. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum. Thank you so much. I couldn't think of the name, so I always want to call it museum, but I know that's not the thing. Mausoleum. Yeah, so he's there. Anyway, so we put the letter in, right?
It's a good thing that we have viewers with higher education than us. It's like, thank you. It's like.
It's not the education. I'm like, we're grateful that we have Canadian viewers.
Canadian.
Oh my gosh.
Natives. We have native speakers. Yeah, thank you. Because if this but even you in Spanish is like.
My Spanish is. It's just, you know why it's like that? It's because I'm self-conscious about it, but I just need to like get over it.
I heard you talking to my mom this morning, and I'm like, is she talking Spanish? She's like,
Shush.
oh, sí, señora, y después que aquí lo otro ya. I was like.
That's how I speak. I remember I moved here when I was 12.
I know. So you can't speak English and Spanish.
I can speak English. I can speak Spanish. It just sounds different. Anyway, back to the story. So we put the letter in there, right? And then what I did is, as part of my dad's celebration of life, I read that letter.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So that letter actually, like, it was so good. It gave me clarity on the lessons that I had been taught and like the hard time that I had gone through my dad. And I think that is going to be some of the basis of how I structured my book for my dad, my memoir to my dad.
So here we go. We need to put a timeline on this, dude. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. So you have.
How many weeks do I have? Because ideally, I would like to get it done by the end of the year.
Oh, so
And you know what
it's
I
back
wanted?
on?
Yeah, and you know what I wanted to do? This was my plan, right? I mean, granted, I do want to print it, but I'm like, you can upload it to Kindle. So I'm going to get it edited and all that, and then you can upload it to Kindle. And then obviously you put it at a price. Like, you can put a price on it, but it's super easy. It's much easier than getting it printed. That way it's uploaded. People can read it if they want, and then they can work on getting it, like, published.
Okay, so here we go. So if we do today.
What's today?
Like, let's start today.
Okay.
We have, we have Get it,
Get it,
Miguel.
Miguel. My husband, Mike, he's always like, she never listens to me.
I know. Oh, so funny story. So we're having dinner, and then so last podcast I was talking to this one about getting her journal entries like chapterized and put them into books and stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh, that's a great idea." Apparently, Mike had the exact same conversation with her, and she was like, "You're stupid. You don't know what you're
I
talking
did
about."
not say that.
Okay, she
I don't
didn't say-
know. I
you're
didn't
like-
say, but I'm like, I just can't remember the time where that conversation took place.
So she dismisses Mike.
No.
And she's like, whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. Then, like a week later, we're having this conversation. I'm like, you should do this. She's like, yeah, that is a great idea. Mike is like, this is so disappointing, right?
I love you, babe. Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
So one thing Mike wants to do now is that anytime that he has a great idea for Maria,
He's going to tell you.
He's going to tell me, and then I'm just going to bring it up in a podcast. What does it say?
Oh, your face said it. My face said it? Whose face? I was like,
Okay, so we got the 19th. So we got 1 week, 2 weeks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
oh, you know what I'm going to
8,
do?
9, 10, 11.
I'm going to do it by December 25th, and I am going to make it a Christmas gift to my dad.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. December 25th is going to be the date. I'm going to digitize the journal entries,
You messed me up. Yeah, keep going.
and I'm going to do it as a gift to my dad.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
It should be like
12,
from
13.
October 4th, it'll be 75 days.
14. So 14 weeks.
You know how I know that it'd be 75 days from October 4th to December 25th?
No.
Because October 4th is when I started 75 Day Hard.
You in that program, man. You need to go away. I'm not impressed. We can't even.
It's okay.
Her diet is water and like
I'm an Eritrean.
she come hungry.
Except here, I can't eat in this room. I don't know who knows what's flying around in here.
Can you smell that? That's my incense.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it has like a dirty sock smell. Just kidding.
So going back, my office smells like dirty socks. Okay, so let's get back to this. You got 14 weeks from
Okay.
today. You got 14 weeks.
Okay, 14.
So what's gonna happen in these 14 weeks?
Step number 1 is digitizing my journal entries.
I don't even care about the process. I want to know how many hours per week you're gonna put into this,
How many hours?
because that's the how.
That's
right?
the how. The hours?
It's the hours.
I can't do
right?
the hours. I have to do actions. It has to be action.
No.
It does.
No.
Because I'm like, if I do hour based, then I'm going to go sit down and be like, what am I doing? And then it's just, I'm like, I have to create. So my,
Those are the action plans.
Yeah.
Right. But what like you are being okay. Listen, I'm a company right now, and I'm hiring you to make this book.
okay.
How many hours are you going to put in
In a week?
a week?
Well,
And in those hours, then
Okay.
yeah, we can break it down into the actual process. But I'm not talking about the process. I'm talking about
Okay.
how many workable hours are you
For
going to
the book.
dedicate for the book.
okay. For the book, I'm gonna do not two per day. So 10 workable hours a week. It's just for the book.
Right.
So 10 hours a week.
So 2 hours a day.
5 days a week.
Hang on, times 5 days.
So that's 10 hours.
10 workable out. Who's doing that? Is that you?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's okay.
10 workable hours,
Yes.
right? And then you have that's 140 hours
Okay.
that you're going to put in. So 2 hours a day times 5 days a week, that's 10 workable hours. So that's 140 hours.
Oh, I got shivers. I like seriously had like a.
Cuz we're heading somewhere now.
Where's the kill switch?
No, this is your commitment. So
Okay.
hang on one second. Okay, so in those 2 workable hours, and then process, we don't have to talk about the process today. So Maria,
So I'll commit to December 25th.
I don't think, and in all honesty, I don't think 140 hours is enough.
Okay, well let me start with that goal first, and then let me adjust it.
Okay,
Because
here we go. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
No, because I want you to succeed.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so you gotta get stretched
Okay.
because this is right now initially you talked when you started making up these things, they were comfortable hours. Yeah, I can do 2 hours, whatever, right? But then going to work, doing a job 8 hours, it's hard, right?
I know, but you gotta remember, I'm also a mother. I have I have to
Not
drive
from
my
9 to 3.
Well, actually, it's like, and then there's because of everything that's going on with my dad, there's still tasks that need to be taken care of because of that.
Good for you. That's amazing. Congratulations. So
Okay.
if we can bump this from 140
To what?
to 200 hours.
How many hours a week would
So
that be?
that would be 200 hours divided by 14 weeks. That's 14, obviously 14.28 divided by 5. That would be at 2.8 hours a day.
Okay, fine. I can do that. I can do that.
Hours a day. So you have to dedicate close to 3 hours a day.
You know what? I'll concentrate on the week. I have to I have to do 15 hours a week.
Yeah?
However way I get it done, it just has to get done.
Okay. Yeah. So 15 hours a week. So going
It's
that
like a part-time job.
15, why not? 15 hours a week times 14 weeks, that's 210. So the magic number now is, Maria, 15 hours a week. Can you do 15 hours a week?
To get it done by December 25th. Heck to the yes. Oh my God.
You just saw magic.
I'm like, I had like a chill like going down my spine. My hands are like freezing.
They are cold.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
Yeah.
No, but I am, because you know what? I want this has been such a hard year, and I want to end on a high. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I want to end my purpose. So before, for writing my book, my purpose was me, right? Like me trying to help others. I didn't have a clear vision per se for my other book, because we did talk about writing a book that was going to be called My Life Sucks. Now
Yeah.
what kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And 100% my life did suck this year. But now I'm like, my purpose is something greater than myself. It's tangible. It's my dad. It's his legacy. Is what he's done for me. Because I think about, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry, because he has been such an impactful man in my life. He's helped my faith like no one's business. There's nothing else that has helped me to develop the faith that I have right now, where is a faith that I will stand tall with faith or I will perish. Like there is no in between. Like that's the level of faith that I feel like I have right now. And he did that for me. Like he was the conduit to help me getting there. And it's just, it brings me so much joy to be able to like honor him by doing this, right? So just like my daughter, when I started losing weight, I'm like, it became more about her. I'm like, I feel like this process is more about him.
That's it. Bam. So here we go. A book for your dad. A book for your dad. What does that say? No. Oh, no.
my
Your
mom.
mom's on here. Your mom. What does mom say?
You can do it, Anita. You are great in almost everything. My mom is watching.
I love the fact she said in almost anything.
It's okay. I have my faults, guys.
Yeah, I know.
I have my faults.
That's my mom talking to me too. My mom says like you're good.
Just not that good.
Just she knows how big my head can get, right? I love your mom.
Yes,
she is
my
like
mom
the
is the
sweetest.
best.
Okay, so here we go. So here's what we're gonna do: a book for your dad, because when you started losing weight,
Yeah.
you did it for your daughter,
I did it. It wasn't like, it was because I wanted to show her a healthy way.
right?
And I'm like, for my dad, I want to honor him.
And so when the question came about, is it worth it? All you had to do was take a look at your daughter, and you're like, it's worth it, and you just kept on going, right? Writing this book and transcribing everything into digitally, all of your chapters, is going to be the hardest thing that you're going to do in the next 14 days. That's 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
So when the question comes, is it worth it? All you have to think about is your dad. This book is you're going to give your dad a Christmas present, December 25th.
Yep. Ah, I'm crying. I already know the picture that I'm like that I'm gonna put there. I'll show you. I'm gonna put a picture at the end, because I shared. So I shared. A lot of the ways that I experience healing is through sharing. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
shared.
My towel's over there.
That dirty towel. I'm like,
From
I'm not
last
putting-
week?
100%. I'm not using that dirty towel.
It's not dirty. It's still sitting there from last week.
Anyway, what was I saying? I forget.
Oh,
now.
dude, I feel good about this.
Hold on.
You know I'm going to be on top of this, right?
Yeah, do it. Like, do it.
Like I'm calling you every day if I can, and I'm like, dude, have you put in your hours?
Hold on. I want to show you the picture of my dad.
So, ladies and gentlemen, listen. So, I'm still having my launch party. So
Yes.
now we're gonna do a duo launch party, right?
That's the one that's gonna be at the end. Look at that one.
Ah, I like that one.
I don't know if you guys can see.
That's a good one. That's nice.
Ah,
Get her. Mike's sending me.
he's like, listen, he's
get it.
sending.
I'm telling you, I'm a pit bull.
Yeah.
Once I hold on to like take a bite out of something, I'm not letting go. So, dude, I'm telling you right now, like, we're talking almost every day if we have to. Like, at the end of the day,
No, not more Miguel.
I'll send you a text. I'm like, did you put in your hours today?
I know.
And I'll tell you one thing right now. So, yeah, when we went for dinner on
Friday,
unconsciously you made a comment to Mike, and I was like, oh crap, that is dedication. Sometimes, so Mike goes to bed, and you're like in the living room, whatever, and then Mike is like, get into bed, and you're like, no, I still have to drink my water because then I have to restart, right?
yeah.
Okay, so she's doing this stupid 75 hard whatever crap, and then you have to drink how many gallons?
At 1 gallon.
a,
That's why I have this here.
a ton of water a day, right? So she has to drink, and and if she misses a day, you have to restart like the whole thing, right?
Yes, I do have to start from the beginning. Not from the very, very beginning, but I do have to start the phase.
Which is the 30-day phase.
The 30 days.
Right. So if you don't put in a minimum of 3 hours a day,
Then my week recycles. Then I have to push back.
then it goes then your end date stops being the 25th, and now it goes to the 26th.
Oh, dang.
Because we calculated all of this, right? It's 210 hours for 14 weeks, which will give the 14 days times 7. So 14 weeks times 7, which is 98 days.
Is that start? Yeah, because I'm like that. I'm gonna have to make that one of my critical tasks. So with the 75 hard, I have to do 8 critical tasks, and I will not go to bed until I get those
Exactly.
done. So I'm like, I'm gonna place that one in there,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's gonna happen.
It's 98 days. That will get you the 25th. If you miss a day of not putting in 2 to 3 hours, that 98 days goes. You have to restart. You have to go into 99 days or whatever.
I add a day. Okay.
So it goes, instead of giving him a Christmas present, you'll give him a
Los Reyes Magos, baby. the what is it called?
Boxing Day present.
Boxing. No, you know.
Yeah, Los Tres Reyes.
Yeah.
The Three Kings.
The 3 Kings. I was just, the 3 Kings come too. They give a gift.
But that's in January. January 7th or something like that.
I'm just kidding. This is a Christmas. And you know what the beautiful thing too? It is my mom's birthday on December 25th. So I'm gonna commit to giving this to her and my dad.
Dude, if you don't, oh my gosh, it's done.
It's gonna be like,
it's done.
There's gonna be some ugly tears.
I am going to hound you.
Gosh, I you know what though? This is different. Like I wanted to do a book before, but I didn't have a strong enough why.
Yeah.
And I think this just kind of solidified that like it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready. It's gonna be. I'm like. I told you, like my hands are now sweaty.
I know.
I'm like clammy.
And you're putting me in the book, right?
For what? Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do have to tell you though, you were very instrumental. Like a couple of things that happened. Like okay, so one of the times I did give you a call about having a hard time when I was going through it the last time, right?
I was at the mall eating.
When you were like that, yeah. But because of what you said, it changed my perspective about healing, right? Miguel told me, he's like, because I can't remember exactly the conversation, but I do remember this. And he's like, right now, it is your time to be there for your dad, to support him emotionally and spiritually. Let the doctors do the physical stuff, but you be there emotionally and spiritually. And then he said to me, he's like, your healing is going to come when your dad passes. It will come to you, and then your dad will also be healed. And I think, I'm like, when you said that, it took off so much pressure that I was feeling that I didn't even know that I had. Yeah. And then I visited my dad as I was, without trying to tell him what to do,
fix him and things like that.
Exactly. I was trying to fix the situation that could not be fixed. I was trying to do something. I was trying to push my own views and values on my dad when my dad wasn't ready for them. I was putting limits on my love. Yeah, I was making my love conditional until I talked to you. And then when I went and I talked to him, and that was actually the last interaction that I had with him, with like big ugly tears in my face. I apologized. I told him that I would support him no matter what. And then something beautiful came out of it. He like took his hand and he wiped away my tears, and he said, "It's okay. I'm gonna be okay." And it happened because of the conversation that we had, and then helped me to be in a better headspace. I was able to show up better for my dad, and it's a beautiful memory.
This is going to be a good book, people. This is going to be a solid.
It's a healing book.
It's a healing book.
Yeah, because my grieving counselor did say, he's like, pain is healing. He's like, in order to unlock the love and the memory, you have to experience pain. So I'm like, that's exactly what I told him, I'm like, I'm going to lean hard to my pain. I didn't know how. Now I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's got her vision. She's got her how-to, her it question. Is it worth it? I think it is. 100%. She's got her process. And then December 25th is going to be her success.
That is my date. So be on the lookout. And if you like to read it, I'll put it on Kindle.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. So
don't worry.
You gotta teach me, because I got my book coming up and I have no idea what to do there.
No, don't worry, because I'm like, we'll put it on Kindle and then we'll deal with the like physical publishing of it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah. That's my problem. How to, right? So I don't know how to do that. But anyways, I'm just focusing on the process.
Exactly, and we'll figure that out. But yeah, so I'm excited. I can't wait for you guys to read it. It is gonna be vulnerable. It is gonna be hard, but it's life.
Yeah.
And life is messy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going. I'm excited. This is a good show. Like I'm telling you right now, guys, 210 hours for success. And you got this.
All right, let's do it.
98 days.
Be on the lookout. I'll be sharing with you guys my progress. You'll probably see some big ugly tears. But in the midst, we'll be sharing all our takeaways. And
yeah, make sure that you post your progress, right?
Yeah, I will.
I think that's part of your progression is letting people know where you're at throughout the journey.
Yeah. I love sharing, but sometimes I get in my head and don't do it. But I will do it this time.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to continue helping the show, listen, you got all our social sites right up there. You got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. I already said Twitter.
Snap. Do it all. Just click all. Subscribe to all.
And to continue supporting the show, make sure that you log into our website, mtclife.com, and then under the shop, if you buy a shirt, guys, it supports the show.
Absolutely.
Anyways, and so we love you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for watching.
This is amazing.
Absolutely.
Take care. Bye.
Get a minute, don't know. Get a minute of your time. Get a minute of your. Let it. I sure gotta live right, and I'm never gonna let you out of my side. I've been knocked out, was a nice try, but I guess I get to keep my head on this time. Part of the creation, the relations I've got, the only one that keeps me safe, the only one you should trust. For sure, it ain't right that I have checked the speck of dust from all of its side. Fall down, that from my height, cause I didn't see the plank I have in my eye.